Stop pretending you don't wonder. Every man does. You walk into a room, conversations shift, eyes flicker, but you shrug it off as coincidence. What if it isn't? What if the most magnetic force in your life has been hiding in plain sight, inside you, all along? Here's the paradox. Real presence is like gravity. You never see it, but it moves oceans, bends time, and makes people orbit without knowing why. Most men try to chase attraction like a trophy, but Stoic wisdom reveals what makes you unforgettable is not what you perform, it's what you radiate when you're not performing at all. This video will reveal 12 socially attractive habits of Stoic presence. Not tricks, not shallow hacks, but daily practices rooted in how you live, breathe, and carry yourself through the world. By the time we reach deeper into this journey, I'll hand you a rare Stoic exercise that can shift how you feel about yourself as soon as tomorrow morning. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop chasing validation and start recognizing the power already leaking through your everyday life? Then lean in, watch closely, and let's begin. 1. Staying calm when others get nervous. You've seen it before. A man who's usually confident suddenly fumbles his words, adjusts his shirt, or laughs too loudly when you walk in. You call it awkwardness, but awkwardness is only the surface. Underneath, it's a silent admission. Your presence has tilted his balance. This isn't about intimidation. It's about resonance. Something in you activates something in him, and his unconscious scrambles to keep up. Like a compass needle thrown off by a hidden magnet, his body reveals what his pride tries to hide. The worst mistake you could make? Dimming yourself to make him comfortable. Your calm silence is not a threat. It's a mirror. His nervousness is his story, not yours. The Stoics would remind you, the value of a thing does not shrink because someone else cannot carry its weight. So next time you see this, don't apologize for it. Notice it. Breathe into it. Practice holding your ground for 10 seconds longer than you normally would. That simple pause teaches you the art of owning space. And here's the real question. How many times have you mistaken another man's discomfort as proof of your weakness, when in fact it was proof of your gravity? 2. Owning attention without forcing it. You're walking through a cafe, a meeting, or down an airport corridor. Someone glances once. That's ordinary. But when they turn back for a second look, that's a different language. It's the world telling you, you carry something that lingers. You probably dismiss it. They're just curious. Maybe my tie is crooked, but no. The second glance is rarely about details. It's about energy that refused to pass unnoticed. A spark tugged at them, and their body obeyed before their mind could catch up. Or maybe they're just wondering why a grown man still can't walk straight without spilling coffee on himself. Like I did yesterday. Think of it like a campfire. You don't stare at a campfire once and walk away. You find yourself drawn back again and again for reasons beyond explanation. That's how magnetism works. The glance is the proof. Instead of shrugging it off, train yourself to meet that second glance with steady eyes, not aggressive, not seeking approval, just a calm recognition. In that moment, you affirm silently, I see the pull, and I am not surprised. And here's the thought to wrestle with. What if the stares you've spent years explaining away were actually the world showing you who you've been all along? 3. Letting confidence show, even on off days. There are mornings when you stand in the mirror and see only fatigue, lines deeper than yesterday, a suit that feels unremarkable, eyes dulled by routine. And yet, that same day, someone leans over in the office or a stranger in a cafe and says, man, you've got something about you. This is the paradox. The days you feel least magnetic are often the days when your presence cuts deepest, because you're not trying, you're not performing, you're just there. And that's when the real signal leaks through. Think of Michael Corleone in The Godfather. He rarely smiles, he rarely boasts. But in the silence, in the calm gaze, everyone feels it. His power is most visible when he appears least concerned with showing it. That's why compliments land when you feel undeserving. Others are seeing a light you've gone blind to. Their words are not exaggerations. They are reminders. If this hits you, pause for a second and drop a comment. Tell me the strangest compliment you've ever received when you felt at your lowest. I promise you're not alone. And let me ask you this. How many times have you robbed yourself of your own reflection by refusing to believe the compliments were true? 4. Attracting others through steadiness. Notice how often the smallest requests come your way. Someone at work asks for your opinion on a detail they could Google in 30 seconds. A friend lingers, asking casual questions that don't really need answers. Even in the supermarket, a stranger asks you about a product you clearly don't work for. On the surface, these are trivial, but beneath, it's the unconscious mind-building bridges. People want proximity to what steadies them, even if their conscious mind invents flimsy reasons. It's like travel. You've probably stood in an airport terminal where no one knows anyone else. Yet somehow, without words, a few people drift closer to the calm traveler, leaning against the wall. Rather than the restless man pacing, steadiness organizes space. People orbit the anchor. The danger is to misinterpret this as nuisance. Why do people always come to me with silly things? But Stoic wisdom flips it. The trivial request is not about the answer. It's about the anchor. And maybe ask yourself, if strangers and colleagues keep finding invisible threads to draw near you, could it be that your gravity is the very thing you've been underestimating? 5. Leaving energy that lingers after you leave. You never notice it when you walk in. You shake hands, you talk, maybe you laugh a little, and to you it feels ordinary. But watch closely what happens when you leave. The air shifts. Conversations scatter. Someone glances toward the door as if a piece of the balance just walked out with you. That's the paradox of energy. It's rarely praised in the moment, but it's always missed in the silence afterward. True masculine energy doesn't always announce itself. It lingers, like the echo of a song that won't fade. I remember returning from 2 weeks away and finding Elena, the gentle woman I love, at the children's center where she volunteers. She smiled when she saw me, then sighed. Everyone missed you. Even the laughter felt thinner without you here. That's when it struck me. Presence isn't about filling a room with noise. It's the quiet force that holds it together. And here's the twist most men overlook. People rarely tell you this. They won't pull you aside and say, your absence changed the atmosphere. They'll simply feel it. And that unspoken recognition is one of the clearest signals of real power. So here's your practice. The next time you leave a meeting, a family gathering, or even a casual dinner with friends, pause. Ask yourself, what trace did I leave behind? Not in words, not in performance, but in energy. If the room feels emptier, you've already said more than enough. Presence isn't loud. It's the silence after you leave. Let me ask you, what would it mean if you stopped chasing attention in the moment and instead started cultivating the kind of presence people notice only when it's gone? 6. Radiating ease without trying. You're walking through an airport or standing in line at a store, and suddenly someone catches your eye and smiles. No conversation, no context, just that quick, almost shy curve of recognition. You might brush it off, thinking it's politeness, but often it's deeper, because quiet weight leaks through without a word. A man at ease in himself radiates something rare in a world addicted to noise. Of course, sometimes it really is politeness, like when an old lady smiles at you because you accidentally walked into the wrong restroom. Don't overthink those. Picture George Clooney in Ocean's 11. He isn't loud, he isn't showing off, yet his calm grin disarms entire rooms. That's not performance, it's unforced gravity. When strangers smile at you, it's not about your clothes or your haircut. It's about something in your walk, your face at rest, your energy held steady. Their body responds before their mind has a chance to explain it. And then reflect. If silence and stillness can draw warmth without effort, what else in your life could shift if you trusted your unspoken gravity more than your rehearsed performance? 7. Commanding respect without seeking attention. You've seen it before. A man walks into a dinner, not dressed, loud, not showing off, just carrying himself steady. And without meaning to, someone at the table, even a woman who came with her partner, glances one beat too long. She quickly looks away, but her partner notices. The air shifts. This isn't about stealing attention. It's about presence. Sometimes another man's quiet strength becomes a mirror that exposes where we feel lacking. That glance isn't a victory, it's a signal, a reminder that true masculine magnetism doesn't need to hunt. It simply exists and others can't help but react. The Stoic move is not to exploit it, it's to stand firm, unaffected. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one your presence itself becomes the answer, not your reaction to who's watching." Your practice, next time you sense eyes on you that shouldn't be, don't shrink, don't play into it. Just anchor yourself in your values. That restraint is what separates strength from impulse. And because you've stayed with me this far, here's something extra, a gift you can test tonight. Tonight, before you sleep, take 2 minutes, just 2. Sit in the dark, no music, no phone, no noise. Place your hand on your chest and ask yourself one question. Where did my presence make a difference today? Don't force an answer, just sit with it. Sometimes it's the smile you gave a stranger, the calm you held in a heated room, or the way your son leaned against you without saying a word. If you repeat this simple ritual for 1 week, you'll begin to notice something. Presence isn't an abstract idea. It leaves fingerprints on the world every single day. This practice will show you those prints and remind you that your gravity is already at work. If you try this tonight and feel even the slightest shift, share this video with another man who needs it. That's how we spread strength, quietly but powerfully. So I ask you, are you steady enough to carry presence without needing to spend it? 8. Living simply without chasing attention. Think about the man in your office who never tries to impress. He wears the same plain jacket, doesn't dominate the meetings, doesn't post a curated life online. Yet when he speaks, people listen. When he enters the break room, conversations pause just a little. It's the subtle sound of his pen tapping on the table before he speaks, and suddenly the whole room waits. That pause holds more weight than another man's 5-minute speech. That's the magnetism of simplicity. In a world where most men exhaust themselves trying to look important, the one who doesn't chase attention becomes unforgettable. The Stoics called this alignment with nature, living without excess, without the burden of pretending. Seneca reminded us, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. The one who no longer craves attention is the one people quietly respect. Now ask yourself, what would shift in your life if people remembered not the image you crafted, but the steadiness you carried? And if you're still here, you already feel this in your own life, don't you? 9. Using silence as strength. There are men who rush to fill every pause with noise, jokes, chatter, endless explanations. You know the type, the guy who can turn a 30-second story into a 30-minute monologue about his fantasy football team. Nobody misses that silence. And then there are men whose silence unsettles yet fascinates. When you sit across from someone and they lean in without knowing why, it's not because of what you're saying, it's because of what you're not saying. True masculine presence doesn't demand space, it creates it. At a dinner table, in a meeting, even waiting for your coffee, people notice when you're at ease with quiet. It's rare in a world addicted to noise. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Silence is not emptiness, it's the shade of your inner life made visible. If you're restless inside, your quiet feels tense. But if you've cultivated calm, your silence feels magnetic. It's like when you're trotting in line for coffee and the guy next to you nervously scrolls his phone. You don't. You just stand there steady. And without a word, he glances at you, curious why you're so unbothered. And if this part makes sense to you, hit like. Not for me, for the reminder that silence doesn't need applause to be powerful. Ask yourself, are you escaping into words, or are you strong enough to let silence reveal your presence? 10. Trusting the strength others already see in you. Here's the paradox. The men who carry the most weight rarely feel it themselves. You might doubt your worth, compare yourself to louder, flashier people, and yet you leave an imprint far deeper than you know. Think back. How many times has someone told you they respected your judgment even when you thought you barely spoke? Or they remembered one thing you said months ago when you thought you'd gone unnoticed? Like that one sentence you whispered in a crowded meeting, the kind no one acknowledged then. But weeks later, someone repeats it word for word, as if it had been echoing in their head the whole time. That's the quiet strength of presence. It lingers even when you don't recognize it. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Often it's through the very struggles you try to hide that your real power becomes visible. Others see the steadiness in your scars, even when you only see flaws. The heaviest strength is the one you don't feel until others hand it back to you. So I ask you, are you still blind to the strength others already see in you, or will you finally claim it as your own? 11. Turning criticism into proof of presence. Sometimes the clearest proof of your presence isn't applause, it's resistance. Have you noticed how certain men or women throw sharp comments your way, even when you've done nothing to provoke it? The jab at your calmness, the mocking of your choices, the side eye when you enter a room. Most take it as an insult, but often it's projection. Your steadiness makes them face their own chaos. Your discipline exposes where they've gone soft, and that discomfort has to go somewhere, so it spills out as criticism. Epictetus warned, if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone. In other words, don't defend, don't waste your energy. Their words reveal them more than they reveal you. So I ask you, are you willing to let another shadow sharpen your own light? 12. Creating connection without words. There are rare moments when words become unnecessary. Sitting beside a friend after a long day, driving in silence with someone you trust, or holding your partner's hand without needing to explain anything. That's when you know your presence carries weight. Silence isn't awkward, it's charged. Others don't fidget, they don't reach for their phone, they don't rush to fill the void. They rest in it because you make the stillness feel alive. Think of driving late at night with someone you trust. No music, just the hum of the engine, streetlights flashing by. And somehow that quiet feels fuller than any conversation. The Stoics practiced this too. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." When you've built that retreat within, people sense it. They enter your orbit, and the quiet between you becomes the deepest conversation. Your practice. Create one silent space today. At dinner, on a walk, or in your office, hold the pause without apology. Watch how others settle into it. It may feel subtle, but that subtlety is the ultimate sign of power. So here's my final question. If silence with you feels like presence, not emptiness, what does that say about the man you've become? You've just walked through 12 habits that build a silent gravity most men never recognize in themselves. Not tricks, not performance, but signals that rise from the way you carry silence, endure loss, walk with discipline, and radiate without trying. Remember, time does not weaken true presence. It amplifies it. The storms of life don't erase you. They carve you into something sharper, steadier, more unforgettable. So stop chasing validation. Stop measuring yourself against noise. Start noticing the gravity already pulling others toward you. And practice day by day the calm, disciplined, luminous strength the Stoics live by. If you've stayed with me this far, take this as proof you are ready. Ready to walk lighter, speak less, mean more. Ready to live not as a man waiting to be approved, but as a man already whole. If you found yourself in these signs, subscribe and turn the bell on. That way, every week, you'll be reminded, not of tricks, but of the strength already in you. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more steadiness, your presence.